Welcome back, my dark minions, to the Dark Void, ruled by me, now 51. And today we're WTF news slash reaction thing. And today we're going to be talking about Highguard. Today is when it's released. By the time this video pops up, I think Monday. Yeah, basically. And this is by YongYea. Highguard launches to overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam and mixed reception on social media. I just literally just got online. So okay, let's see these things. And yeah, this is what I see. This is what I see right here. And yeah, it is, seeing this is not good. So I was expecting it, and I was right in my prediction. The last 2 days, they were gonna do they were gonna announce some trailers here. They were gonna announce some trailers, and I was right. But yeah, no. I even tweeted out, I was like, is it enough? I'm wrong. No, and I was right. No, it was enough, and no, it wasn't enough at all. So yeah, that's what happened. I don't know what's happening right now. So yeah, they really didn't do anything justice. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna watch YongYea, see what it is, and I'll give my 2 cents at the end here. But it's just unfortunate that literally, this is what they brought out, and they had like 3 weeks to prepare. Wait, they had like since the Game Wars to prepare. So I don't know what they're doing. All right, let's start this off. Take it away, YongYea.
So Highguard has been out for a few hours now.
Yes.
People have been waiting with bated breath to see how this game would perform, given the unusual circumstances surrounding it.
Yeah.
The fact that it was announced at the Game Awards as the big finale, only for that to be like a huge marketing mistake. Because we're talking about a brand new IP from a brand new studio.
I already said this before.
Something that is
should have been for that
to be the big finale kind of turned a lot of people off. And then the game kind of just went radio silent
Star
for the
Wars
duration of its marketing campaign, except for like 3 days prior to its launch.
Exactly.
That's when we start to see some activity. And today, the game has finally launched.
It's now live.
We're starting to see finally a lot of activity on social media, trying to explain the game, what it is.
At the last minute.
Right here titled Highguard Official Launch Showcase that kind of walks you through the entire gameplay loop of this game. And it is essentially described as a PvP raid shooter, taking inspiration from survival games and the way you like raid other people's bases, but in like a fast-paced first-person shooter format. That also has aspects of like Overwatch, it has hero shooter elements. It's got some elements of like Battle Royale in the way there's like item pickups and equipment pickups to upgrade your character. It's also got aspects of like Rainbow Six Siege with that attacker-defender gameplay loop. There's definitely some inspiration taken from like the MOBA genre.
2 days. They
titles
waited
like Counter-Strike and
Valorant. They show this off today.
The way you have to like plant and defuse bombs as one of the methods to take down enemy bases. And, you can tell where all of its individual components were taken from, but it's all combined in a way that tries to aim for a different kind of gameplay loop and gameplay experience. And we're here to analyze in this video how it's all been going so far. Now, do note that the game's only been out for a couple hours, and so the real test will be over the course of like a week or a month.
Yeah, we're going to see the week.
Like a really full picture.
We're going to see the week.
But I will say that within
what
the
happens.
first few hours of the game's launch, it's been a little rough.
I
when it comes to like peak concurrent players on Steam, it's not doing so bad. Clearly, this game garnered a lot of attention, especially due to the unusual circumstances surrounding it and the fact that people were covering that unusual circumstance, covering the fact that the game has gone radio silent, covering the fact that it was a mistake to announce it at the Game Awards as like the big finale of that.
It was a mistake to show at the end.
Enough eyes were on this game where the curiosity has certainly struck a chord, and so people are at the very least checking the game out.
Okay, they're checking right now, all right?
Peak concurrent player numbers right now sitting at, almost 100,000 players, 97,249 players.
All right, they're checking it out.
You can say that Highguard is by no means Concord 2. Concord was just such a disaster when it comes to how few people played it. Like, we're talking about a game that launched to like roughly 2,500 players.
Yeah,
that's the all-time peak concurrent player number on Steam. Whereas with Highguard, at the very least, people are curious enough that we're seeing like decent numbers at launch. And it helps that Highguard is actually a free-to-play game, whereas Concord was a game you had to pay for.
At least that's one thing going for it.
Even when Concord was in like its free-to-play beta, the numbers were so minuscule that like there was literally zero chance for that game to garner any sort of mass interest that would allow it to make a comeback. Whereas with Highguard, at least there are enough eyes on it, and we are seeing some buzz on social media. Now, not all of the buzz right now is entirely positive, and just because a game starts with like decent peak and current player numbers doesn't mean that,
see throughout the week,
free-to-play live service like
really
Highguard,
going on here?
It'll be maintained over the long term. Recall that Multiverses peaked at over 150,000 players, and it did fairly well at launch. But then, like,
they
messed up with the game and realized there's not much else to it,
and
then they like dipped and died off. And so, we can't rule out that possibility for Highguard. Again, I think a better picture will present itself once we wait like a week to a month to really gauge where the game's at after some time has passed, after that initial glow you get from playing a new game kind of passes, whether there's a game that keeps bringing people back over the course of, like a long-term time period. But in terms of initial reception, the fact that the game has opened to overwhelmingly negative reviews is not particularly confidence-inspiring. 17% from just a little under 1,900 reviews. And, some of that does come from the fact that Highguard's optics were so negative due to the way it was marketed at the Game Awards as the big finale.
Of the reasons.
But even people who've like checked this game out and given it enough of a chance and tried out a match or two are not fully in love with what they've played so far. So, for example, one of the big criticisms is that 3v3 does not feel right for the format of this game due to the fact that the maps are so big in Highguard to the point where 3v3 just feels too sparse. It feels like you don't encounter players as often.
The
with
way
this
I
reviewer
see
believing that the size would fit better for 5v5 or 6v6. The guns feel nice to shoot, but
it looks like it should have been more people on the battlefield.
People sound like they're above you when they're actually in front of you, and vice versa. The game needs serious work in order to be what it was hyped up to be. And people are saying similar things where not all of the thought processes and considerations.
If the map is so big, you need to have more players. You can't just have 3v3.
And then people are also highlighting a lot of technical issues with people either having to wait a long time to enter matches due to long queues, and when they do enter matches, they're reporting a lot of bugs and issues and getting kicked out, and also performance issues is something that people have been discussing through these Steam reviews. And I will say that I myself have tried to play the game and check it out, but currently it's proving to be impossible because right now when I try to get into the game, even when I just try to play through,
if you're a console player, let me know.
It boots me before I have a chance to play anything. This
if you're a console player,
for the
please
last,
let me know
like
if it's
30 minutes
with
or
you.
so. So let me show you right here. You can see that. You can see that you have to play the tutorial.
If you hear any noise in the background,
engage with its other modes. So I click on it and I hit play.
Let's see.
And you'll see that it'll find a match, and eventually it will.
Okay.
But once it does, what happens is I get taken to the loading screen, as you'll see right here. And then I'll just get booted out.
Oh my
God.
I can't hear anything. Oh, there it is.
This has been my experience with Highguard.
Wow.
For the last, 30 minutes.
If you're a console player,
like,
please let me know.
I want to at least play a match before making
if you're trying to get into the game.
I'm not capable of doing so. And looking through social media, I'm not the only one experiencing these issues. A lot of people are reporting that they're having trouble just like playing the game at all. So technical mishaps at launch, definitely not helping optics surrounding Highguard. And that's the risk you take when you don't do like a beta test, when you don't allow people to check the title out prior to launch to work out the kinks. The game is out fully. It is not advertised as a beta, and so people will treat it as such. And so that's not painting a great picture surrounding the title. On social media right now, you can see that people have been experiencing all kinds of technical issues, like launch queue times and error messages saying that there are not enough players, which means that a lot of players are having trouble connecting to the game, as well as errors like this one saying that there's an online error, your connection to Highguard has been lost.
So you're telling me
a lot of server issues
3v3 is too much just to play, huh?
That, have an influx of players. But even for the people who managed to get in on social media, you'll find folks saying that 3v3 was a weird choice when the game, given the size of the maps, feels that it should at least be 6v6. Aspects of its upgrade system already being criticized, with Paul Tassi saying like the looting part of Highguard, that's akin to like Battle Royales. Seems like everyone just gets the exact same quality upgrades each round with a tiny bit of exploring, so it sort of cancels out. I don't really get it. It doesn't feel necessarily like Apex. Paul Tassi also spoke about the 3v3 nature of the game and the map, saying that traversing with horses makes it more tenable to have 3v3 instead of 6v6. 2026. But the problem is 95% of the fighting will be in the basis, so it might as well just be sort of a normal diffuse mode, but with extra steps. Other folks are not impressed by the game, are saying things like Highguard looks like every hero shooter-esque game I've seen in the last 10 years. It sort of feels like Realm Royale / Paladins, but in 2026. Not for me, but maybe people will enjoy it. And just searching
maybe people will enjoy it, but still,
like reception has been surrounding Highguard, you'll find that a lot of it is not like particularly very enthusiastic. One of the top comments here reads, Highguard feels in every aspect like a fan-made mode off of a pre-existing larger game. It's completely safe, inoffensive, and lacks a single shred of identity. The shiny ArtStation portfolio end result of an entropic, self-consuming industry. Here's someone else bullet pointing some of the issues
follow
that
the trend.
With the game, and it's a lot of the same issues that plenty of people are expressing, saying that, you know, just on a technical level, the game is rough at launch with constant crashes and bad optimization. And then from a game design standpoint, this individual feels as though 3v3 raids feel absolutely boring. The game really needed a mode with more players. And finally, endless messages when queuing, so more technical issues that prevent people from playing the game. Now, that's not to say that there isn't some positive reception out there, with people appreciating that Highguard does try to like reinvent the wheel a little bit, where they take components from all these other games, but they mix it all up together in this concoction that tries for something new. This
maybe if they had more players
thing
in
that
the
they're
match,
going for,
maybe they'll help
this
out.
Genre that does feel like a different take on some traditional gameplay loops.
Like I said,
traditional gameplay elements that are combined to build something that does feel
because you are
like
rating bases,
it doesn't try to be like every other shooter. And for those
maybe that'll help.
And creators who did attend the event for Highguard, where they got to play, you know, like 6 hours in a less technically compromised environment, you know, reception seemingly has been positive, and the general consensus is that while, you know, nobody knows for sure whether this will gain traction and will allow this live service
but those
to
are
live
game journalists, so I really don't trust them as
least,
much.
There's a general appreciation for the fact that this game does feel like it tried something new and isn't like just a copy and paste of the same formats that are out there. It's not necessarily revolutionary, but it does feel like it's trying to invent a game mode that is an amalgam of all of these different things that is greater than the sum of its parts. But from the technical issues at launch to the general feedback that 3v3 is not quite doing it, given the size of the maps, and a lot of like design considerations that they couldn't tweak because they didn't host the beta, all of that ultimately is creating an environment where Highguard isn't being seen as worth the amount of hype that the Game Awards gave it as the big finale announcement for that show, and the amount of hype that Jeff Keighley gave it through all of the
Jeff Keighley literally announced that he was going to wait for apologies
to launch for
the game for people like right there.
In 48 hours, I'll be accepting.
There it is. That's what I was talking about.
Apologies. But right now, it's not looking like this tweet is living up to its level of confidence. Now, with all said and done, like, it's only been a few hours since the game's launch. No doubt that developers will start to tweak the game based on feedback.
Okay, this is the first day.
People will start to get more acclimated with this kind of unique brand of gameplay loop, this PvP raid mode that the developers are trying to push for here. And again, over the course of the next few days and weeks, we'll get a better picture for the status of this live service, whether its launch woes will persist or whether all of that will get resolved and people will start to jive with this game over time as time goes on. And, you know, once I'm able to get into a game, I'd love to check it out for myself and share my own thoughts on what it's like playing the title. You know, I do want to give this game a chance. I do want to make sure I play through a couple matches before I express how I feel about the quality of the game itself. But right now, I'm not seeing anything indicating that this game is absolutely safe for the long term, that is absolutely beloved across the board, which is kind of what this game needed due to how like poorly received the marketing campaign of it was. And while we're on the topic of that marketing campaign, news outlet Kotaku did talk to the developers about the marketing campaign and the announcement of the game, and they kind of talked about how all of that played out, because the original plan for Highguard was going on Apex Legends. The original plan was, in fact, to shadow drop the title, but then apparently Jeff Keighley reached out with a proposal and a plan. Here's what co-founder Chad Greenier told Kotaku, quote, "Look, we always plan for, you know, a surprise release. But then Jeff came in and wanted to do something special and put us in the Game Awards. we were going to do a shadow drop, since day one, almost since forming this company. We did it with Apex, and it worked well. Now, I will highlight again that the reason it worked with Apex Legends and why Highguard wouldn't benefit as much from this maneuver is the fact that Apex Legends came from a well-known and renowned studio.
Actually helped out.
It was, within the Titanfall universe, so it had some brand recognition to it. And it released around a time when the genre that Apex Legends tackled, Battle Royale, was really popular, whereas Highguard is releasing at a time when things like the hero shooter genre and, the live service elements that it tries to tackle
it's just too much.
Not at the level of popularity that they were at the time that Apex Legends launched, when it tried to kind of pave its road in the battle royale market. The conditions that Highguard tried to pull in Apex Legends were not the same, were not equivalent. So Highguard really took a tremendous risk that may not yield the level of success that Apex Legends saw with that maneuver, due to how differing these circumstances are. But I suppose the spotlight that the Game Awards can bring was too alluring, though, as we've seen, that can be a double-edged sword. The level of hype, that, especially as the big finale that is expected of such an announcement, like, if you don't live up to that hype, it can bite you in the ass, especially if you're such a brand new studio with such a new
Ryan Booty Cheeks.
Greenier continues here. We have known Jeff for a long time, and he said, let me do something that's maybe a little risky in hindsight, but different, to take a free-to-play PvP raid shooter and do something with it. So we rushed a trailer together. I wish the reception had been better, but in hindsight, we made a trailer to entertain really quickly and didn't show the gameplay loop and what's different and unique. And I do agree with this take, because the trailer that was shown at the Game Awards was so uninformative that it made the game look like just any other generic hero shooter. Whereas like the game shown right here that highlights, what it tries to do that's different, does do a better job of
they should have put these ones during the weeks.
Some of the aspects of Highguard that maybe stands out a little compared to the other games out there. We don't know if it's a winning formula quite yet, until, more people get to spend more time with the game. But at the very least, it would have done a better job of giving a better impression than that original trailer did, which was just
if they had shown these after the Game Awards
and generic trailer
during those 3 weeks,
painted like the worst possible picture they could have for their game. Like, they might have actually been better off just shadow dropping the title than accepting Jeff Keighley's proposal. He kind of accidentally doomed the game through the sheer level of expectation that he placed by making this game the big finale, when it still has to find its footing. It feels like Jeff Keighley made it run before it could even walk. Not the intended effect, and I know Jeff Keighley was just genuinely excited about this game.
Should have been in the middle.
Really wanting to spotlight the developer's work. And I do respect and appreciate Jeff's intentions, but as they say, sometimes the road to hell is paved with good intentions. But yeah, it's just too early to say how Highguard will perform.
I might make another video next week or this week, depending
on how really gauge how hooked people are on the game. If we start to see players drop off from Highguard over the next few days, then already that's not a good sign. But if we start to see more positive social media reception and word of mouth spread, that people are starting to understand the game better and are starting to have a lot more fun, and we see those player numbers stay resilient or rise even over the next few days before it starts to peter out a little bit, but overall over the long term we see the game maintain decent enough player numbers where we can see this lasting a couple years, then that'll indicate a healthy live service. But for now, what I can see is that I don't think Highguard's launch was a complete home run. And the negative reception surrounding some of its decisions, with Steam reviews here being still overwhelmingly negative, despite almost 5,000 people now after refreshing this page having reviewed the game. It just doesn't inspire confidence.
It's getting worse.
Live service is long for a long-term future. Well, the game is far from being like this complete travesty or anything. None of this is indicative of a game that's overwhelmingly winning the hearts of people to a degree where you can fully say, oh, we were completely wrong about the potential of Highguard maybe not doing so hot over the long term. It doesn't create a scenario where you can confidently say this game will definitely make a comeback. We don't quite know yet, and
they need to overhaul this game. Well, not overhaul it, but they need to add more players.
But we'll see what happens. This is my take. I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions.
Okay, so I'm just gonna end it there because he's basically ended the video here. But I have to say this now that to me, if they want to try to do anything, they need to adjust the amount of players, because if the whole point of this game is basically raiding other bases, having 3v3 is like way too small. I mean, you're trying to raid other bases, and the whole point of raiding a base is that you have a big team, like big teams coming out for you. In fact, I think they should have done like what Apex Legends, which is what was it, 9v9, or was it, no, 18v18. I think that would have been better here, because over in Apex Legends, they haven't done, as far as I know, they haven't done that match in a long time. But if they did it here, maybe that would have been better. That would have brought more excitement. But since it's just 3v3, it's just be empty. I play Apex once more, like later on, just to check it out, and I just did not like the 3v3 anymore. I think when I played was it 8v8? Well, what was the match called? I don't know. It was the match we did 19v19. I don't remember how many players were in the match there. I can't remember, but that one was the best one because we get the fight. We eventually got dogged down and freaking got spawn canned at one point. But I liked it. You got the fight or the people. There was like a massive amount of people on the map. I mean, if that was here with the rating system, I think that would have been better. But it wasn't. So in the end, I think that was one thing. Also, I think I'm going to disagree with YongYea on the fact that if they shadow dropped, it would have been better. If they had shadow dropped it and not announced anything, I don't think it would have been better. I don't think it would have the numbers it was now. I think it would be half the numbers. Probably 50,000 if they shadow dropped. Maybe less depending if they shadow dropped it. But the problem, which is what I think it would have happened. I think hilariously, Jeff Keighley might have actually unintentionally helped and basically doomed potentially the company by doing this. I think the developers should have suggested, hey, can we have this like in the middle? I think the developers are also at fault here for not letting Jeff Keighley know. They're either denying him or something. Which is like, hey, would you mind if we put this in the middle here? Like, put this in the middle before the end of the show, so that way people can see that this here, instead of just letting Jeff Keighley just choose where it was. But either way, to me, I think if they had shadow dropped it, I don't think it would be as many eyes on it as if they had not shadow dropped it. Because right now, people are like, look at this. I mean, they basically, literally didn't announce anything. They just, as far as I know, I don't know if they would announce the trailer for it, but they just didn't announce anything up to this point. And just, yeah, and plus, also, they basically started announcing a lot of stuff on the day before, and also on the day, like a deep dive as well. And basically, I heard say there was a deep dive as well on the today, right now, before the thing was about to release. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But either way, in the end, we're going to need to wait a few days. We're going to need to wait this week. Like I said, I give it by the end of this week. Now, this is a what if. This is a what if scenario. Like, by the end of this week, you're going to see the game. Basically, it's doing good right now. Basically, we're going to see how many people are going to play it. So play it. We're going to see by the next day. And we're going to see what's going to happen. But by the end of this week, we're going to see whether or not it's still going to be able to survive. Or is it going to get, it's time to move on. Who knows? Either way, Jeff, I don't know what you were thinking for a moment. No, I'm not saying any bad things to you, but I think you need to basically start thinking more as, is this actually going to be a good game for me to put in the Game Awards, like at the very end? You need to start thinking that correctly. In fact, I'm surprised that right now there's like so many game studios thinking that following this trend is still good. I mean, this Battle Royales, they must have stalled Marvel Rivals and Marvel Rivals freaking taking it up right now, and then seeing Overwatch actually doing something, and they must have thought that Battle Royales is back, but in reality, it's not. It's just oversaturated. So who knows? I hope that maybe this game will have like at least some survivability so that they were able to make another game down the line for themselves. But I don't know. Who knows? Wait, let me know in the comments what you think about this situation. Do you think this game will survive by the end of this week in my what if scenario? Or do you think it will survive at least, or do you think it will survive past that and at least be able to be a survivable game, be able to go on its own? Or do you think that we'll start seeing like the game peter down and start showing it? I'm not saying we'll die off. I'm just saying, do you think that the potential is there? And also, what do you think about the situation? Do you think that it should have been shown? And once again, I'm going to say this right now. Do you think that basically this game, Highguard, should have been at the middle of the Game Awards, or Awards, and that the remainder ones should have been like Divinity, Warhammer, and Knights of the Republic. Do you think those three should have been there? And Highguard should be in the middle, so that way it would have excited people more after. Well, not excited. That way, people were saying palate cleanser, and then have to get excited for the rest of the Game Awards. And who knows? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. But either way, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. A lot of eyes are on this game right now. We're gonna see a lot of people are playing this game, which is amazing. But like I said, I've been seeing enough thumbnails before I even started this video that people are not enjoying this game. And these are actually very reputable people in the gaming world right now. And it's just, I think I saw a thumbnail Doki Bird, and yeah, you know how much of a shooter she is. I'm just saying. We'll see. We're just saying. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about this situation. Do you think this will be able to keep up? Do you think it'll start petering down? Do you think that the game will at least survive past this week? Or do you think this game will actually be able to survive past this whole commotion? Do you think that it has enough? And do you think they need to raise the cap of players on the map? Because, like I said, if it's this many players, like it's just this many players, and just, look, we need more players on the map. That's about it. Like, share the video to spread the word, you know, those shebang, the glaze that they wear, and help my influence grow. Take that as well. And don't forget to press the black bell button to be notified when my videos pop up. Comments, what? And also, yeah, because I said this forget, YongYea takes over to play his games. And also, YouTube channel doesn't bother announcing my channel. You know, they're shebang by now, obviously. And don't forget to check your profiles to make sure that my restricted mode is off, because there's restricted mode. And if it's on for you guys, turn it off, because it removes my videos from your feed. Right? That's about it. And for right now, my dark means dismissed.